Welcome, everyone. This is Pineleaf News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Terry Edwin,
Hi, hi.
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
and Corvette.
At your service and your families.
And we will head into the news for this week, if we had any.
The game is still open. Woohoo!
That is
And,
news.
and in fact, I noticed that one of the main threads that I was seeing replies to from the producer this week was no news is good news. So even that was saying that there was no news. So let's then head into the store sales. Anding, what's on sale this week?
Yes, well, Pineleaf, this week the free sample of the week from March 11th to March 17th is Rejuvenation Potions times 5, and you can use the coupon code 3JGAFUBGPSJ. One per account.
And that is
You
why
remember,
we
folks.
don't have him do it normally.
We used to pronounce them, but it's kind of fun.
And there is 25% off Legendary Level Cap Increase, Legendary Item Stat Upgrade, and Relic Packs. Also, it's Welcome Back Weekend, which I know I've taken advantage of, and so has Pineleaf and Maven and Terry and probably Carve. And it's plus 25% XP boost for March 11th through the 13th. So if you're wanting to level up, you're probably listening to this too late. But for the live chat room, log in and get those levels.
We're
Look,
such a customer service, aren't we? We're so customer service oriented.
We are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look, your Players News is brought to us this week by an exciting race.
Sunday! Area Extreme Motorsports presents Monster Kart Madness! Watch these kart-crushing monsters as they rip across the fields, mud-flinging in all directions, with perennial favorites like the Hobbit's favorite, Bigfoot. Mortar's Marauder is looking for revenge after that incident with the ring at Mount Doom. Experience the thrill of dwarven keg pulls, sled stacks 10 barrels high. See the Bree Basher in head-to-head competition with the Rivendell Ripper. This Sunday, see it all at the Bree Festival grounds. Eriador Extreme Motorsports will give you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
That is awesome, Carve.
It has been so many years since I heard the commercial on which that is based.
That's great. That was great.
Let us head into our community events for March 11th through 17th. And anyone have any highlights for this week they wish to mention?
Yes, Borer Took Day is Thursday, March 17th on, hang on, which server? Laurelin. Laurelin is doing Borer Took Day at the Bird and Baby Yard Party at 3:30 p.m. server time, so 7:30 Laurelin time. So it's outside the Bird and Baby. Normally they have a party every Thursday, but since it's St. Patrick's Day, they're going to do special drinking stuff. So it's probably going to be awesome. I won't be there because I'm going to be doing drinking in actual real life. I'm going to be at the bar.
Yeah.
Also, next Sunday, so it's not on this calendar, but it will be on next week's calendar. But by the time we talk about it on next week's news, it'll be over with. So next Sunday, there's actually a Borer Took Day pub crawl. No, that's Thursday also.
Oh.
That is Thursday. That's on Crick Hollow.
Ah, all right.
And that is... Yeah, no, it is. It is on Sunday.
All right.
The article's a little bit misleading, but the actual forum post says it's on Sunday. So I won't be able to make that either because that's at a time that I can't be there.
And I should also note that that next weekend, also slightly off of this calendar, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they will have the Greenfields Festival, also I presume in celebration of Borer Took Day on Landreville. So therefore, come over to the Greenfields for a 3-day festival.
And if you don't know who Bo Took is, watch Miller Thor episode 1.
Yeah.
Right. And then you'll have a chance to see his statue over in the Greenfields. And I should also note that on the times that they're given here is that U.S. Eastern Time, which is our server time, and which most times are given on these things, is going to be jumping forward an hour on Sunday, March 13th. So therefore, most of the dates on this calendar from Sunday on, which would be after this newscast, will be after our time jump forward.
Yes.
All right, any other comments on the upcoming events then? Then let's head on to LOTRO Academy, episode 119, Review of the Mines of Moria, Part 3.
Which was really cool because it was, we had Xerox back as a guest,
Yeah.
who really knows a lot about Moria, which is good because I've spent a lot of time there and still it's not my favorite place. So it's nice having some back and forth banter.
See how many ways we could forget what's in there?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, Brannick hasn't done it since he did it on Brannick, so he's like really not familiar with most of what we talk about.
Especially
Well,
since it's been
yes.
revamped.
Yeah, especially since it's been revamped since he went through there. But this episode was the Foundations of Stone and Redhorn Loans and Flaming Deeps. So all of the underbelly of Moria.
Right. Things where things get really, really nasty.
And yucky. And you have to wash your boots all the time.
Yep.
Foundations of Stone feels like you switch genres for a while. You go from a medieval fantasy to a sci-fi horror.
Or like a Lovecraftian type thing.
Yeah.
Well, yes, there is that little problem. We also had Tales of the Free Folk, episode 12. Stealth Plan 32.
Dun dun dun.
In synchronization, of course.
I cracked up because I had not realized that that's what he had named the episode until I actually looked at LOTRO players yesterday. And I didn't actually look at LOTRO players yesterday until I was in the middle of the field trip. So like halfway through the field trip, I just start cracking up randomly. And I was like, he called it Stealth Plan 32. And so Pineleaf and Maven both knew what I was talking about, and Brannick knew what I was talking about. And half the other people on the call are like, what? But if you're not watching Tales of the Free Folk, you really should be watching Tales of the Free Folk because this was a really great episode.
It was hilarious.
We asked Greymaster afterwards how much of the episode he had planned, and he said maybe 10% of it because he planned for us to do the exact opposite of what we did.
Oh, what a shock.
I know, right?
It was so much
So
fun.
I felt very accomplished.
Next week,
gonna
especially,
die.
is going to be very interesting to see how we get ourselves out of the mess that we've gotten ourselves into.
Oh yes.
So be sure to tune in for that.
That's exciting. See us
Let's-
get out of the mess we put ourselves into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what mess? I thought I was having a nice, pleasant dream.
You were sleeping. That's right. I was the dummy that thought I had to go along with those two crazy kids.
Yes. Yes. And then we'll head into the family line, part 83. To face a dragon. Ye God. Hope they're not planning on trying to raid Smog.
I would think it's more one of those wandering drakes up in the North Downs, but I forget where they are right now.
Yeah, that's probably what more likely it would be, since the really big dragons aren't really around too much anymore. If we forget your occasional Dragyak or undead dragon.
Those that meddle in the affairs of dragons should remember that they are crunchy and taste good with ketchup.
With that, let's go into Critter Casual, a quick guide to free-to-play and VIP accounts and content.
Yeah, Critters Casual had 2 updates this week. So there's the accounts guide and there's also the horse guide, both of which are really good. If you're new-ish to LOTRO, or even if you're not new-ish to LOTRO, but especially for new players, it's very similar to early Academy, but if you digest information better by reading stuff than by listening to stuff, then these are really great. I kind of want to get Squirrel on the Academy.
Ooh.
It's a nice, good, quick, easy read to kind of give you a summation of the difference between the different levels of account you can have.
Mhm.
Between the pure free to play, the premium, and the super premium, and the VIP.
Right. And as mentioned, he had 2 articles this week, and the other one, help! I want a horse.
Just stay
Where
away from Shyster's Farm north of Bray. Whew,
Yeah.
fucking ripoff.
About how you
Yeah, we
go.
can't go back there after Sarissa, you know.
No,
I
we
mean,
can't.
Oh,
That was Terry.
Yeah, that was Terry.
Oh, that's Terry. That's right.
Terry's
Sarissa.
not with the group anymore, so you could.
He
you could
probably likes Sarissa. Knowing Sarissa, he probably thinks she's really awesome and
Sarissa
doesn't
would
realize.
talk him into wanting to give them all of his horses.
Totally.
Provided
yeah. Yeah,
nobody
she would
else
do it more
does it.
subtly.
That's right. That's right.
He wouldn't even have the farm anymore. It'd just all be.
Sarissa would have title. to the
Sarissa would
farm.
have it all. She'd retitle it too. She'd have him go to the bank with her to like make sure that all the paperwork's good.
There is something that I wanted to point out because it's changed since Squirrel has done it. You don't actually get a horse at level 8 anymore as VIP. You have to be level 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you talked,
Mm,
I was wondering about that level answer. When
Yeah,
did
you
that
get that-
change?
Yeah, apparently, you used to get it at 8, but they've.
I
Yeah,
think
because
if
I
you go
don't
to
remember it
Hangstish's
ever being
early,
level 8.
I know that I have bought a horse on a VIP account earlier than that starter steed. It does have a particular. I've gotten it before, and I was like, "Wow, this is kind of lame." I mean, but you do have to get. I think there's a certain way it's unlocked. I know I bought
Well,
it, and I was like,
in,
"Oh, check
in
this out."
order to ride a horse using the VIP rule, you have to complete that quest. And yeah, last time I did it was level 20, but ever since I got the Journeyman's Pack,
I know.
obviously I've been keeping tabs of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
pay any
I
attention to
remember.
it.
I remember going, "Oh, I can buy a horse. Cool!" And it was super slow because the one I had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I don't even want
vaguely.
to talk about how many times I tried that racetrack. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, the slow horse. Yeah, the super slow horse. That was given during the first Christmas to all the lifers and founders. Got a free, got a free mount, got a free slow mount as of that time. So
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I do remember getting it one time and going, "Man, this horse is worse than the whistle horse." No, thank you.
yeah, but the
I could
whistle horse
run
only lasts
faster.
24 hours.
Yeah, but if you use it right, it's all you need. Or you could
Well,
just,
yes. Yeah, I
buy the
remember
super.
back when I used to have to do the quest at level 20, I believe it was around level 15 where I would open up the whistle horse and use that, and I would normally run out of the 24 hours right around the time I hit level 20.
Hmm,
Well, that's
there you go.
convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that way I always put it back in because I figured during the first 15 levels, you really don't need that horse all that much.
Yeah, especially if you're.
Or actually, I
questing
used the
it.
slow horse. That's right before that time.
Barnabas in the chat says that Pineleaf is a Lotro lifer, no parole.
No parole.
Let's head into Small Lotro Adventures, episode 43, Rude Men, Hobbits, and Creatures. Though I think that rude part only goes to the men. I don't think it was meant to go to the hobbits and creatures. So I don't remember the hobbits being particularly rude there. But this is, of course, another Bingo Boffin one, which is why nobody's going into extra details of what's happening
Lily
there.
Kate says it's Lizzie's title choice this week.
Oh, that was Lizzie's title choice.
Right.
Okay.
And only
Did
the men are
Lizzie
rude.
mean that the hobbits were also rude?
Nope. She said only the men are rude.
Oh, okay, fine. just want to be sure how that adjective was to be parsed. So
Finally,
let's
she's
hit.
one of the few people I know that use a data term like parsing to refer to English.
Especially when talking about a small child from Italy that speaks English.
Hey, is it trying to parse it?
And you can send all hate mail to at
Let's head to A Critter's Journey, Part 14, on old memories.
Squirrel's been busy this week.
Yeah, squirreling away bad memories, that's for sure. Or is it old memories?
I don't know, Pineleaf, but this
Well,
was
it's,
another good one.
and that is it for our site news. So let's head into our new players question. And Maven, what do you want to know about?
Oh.
Okay, we want to know the
Okay.
rest of the alphabet then?
Why?
This is Maven just being okay. I told Terry, I said, look, I'm not a dumb person, so I'm guessing that other new players may not have cottoned on to this. And in spite of reading and I did read the tooltips. I only just this is, you notice I'm not putting it in the form of a question, but so in the trait lines, when you have the different skills, I guess we'll call them, right, that you put the trait points toward, you actually don't have to fill it up from top to bottom, right? I mean, you can slot like a 1 point in this one point in that one point in that one, and then let it kind of cascade down, and then go back and fill them in, right? And then you still get some level of benefit from the thing. Okay, let me just tell
Yeah,
you.
a tier unlocks every 5 points you put into
I
the
just
tree.
realized recently that I didn't have to I was going like you had to fill in all, like it was 0 for 5. I had to fill in all 5 before I could proceed.
Ah,
And only recently did I realize, and I actually, I've been reading the tooltips, and then I looked at the tooltip and I went, oh, that's why it's got 5 tiers. I get it. That has 5 tiers. That means if I put in like 1 or 2, I still get something, but I don't have to put in all 5. So I realized, I mean, the strategy, so I think probably other new players, not all new players, but some other new players may not understand this either. You don't have to fill in all, like if it's 0 for 5, 0 for 3, whatever it is, you don't have to fill in all 3 to get the benefit of that skill. You still get it if you put 1 point in. You just don't get as much. So you can strategize through the whole column how you put your points in. Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, I
sort
mean,
of.
you don't have to max out the trait that you're putting
Right.
points into in order to advance to the next tier.
Or in
All
order to
you
get
have
that
to,
trait. In
yeah,
other words, you'll have the trait the minute you put
yeah. I mean, there are
one
Yeah,
certain
point in.
ones that like you'll be able to put 5 or 6 points into, and when you hit the 5th point, it changes it and adds an extra bonus better than
Exactly.
just the percentage increase. Or like you hit the 6th trait, and it changes the skill from this to that, and it adds a whole nother dimension to it. So it really just depends on what you want to invest your points in and
Right.
whether or not you want to commit all those points to that trait tree as you're advancing those
So,
side traits.
to paraphrase Terry, read the tooltip. But I mean, I had been reading the tooltips, so it didn't like sink in what I was actually reading until recently. So that the cool thing about that is like you just said, Carb. I mean, you can kind of strategize how what traits you're wanting. You don't necessarily, you can leapfrog. You can I mean, really study it, and you can actually kind of strategize your trait tree rather than just I must fill from top to bottom in a linear progression.
Yeah, no,
Anyway, it was just interesting. I mean, because
yeah,
like I said, I'm
they're
not stupid. I think there may be other players that are relatively new that
yeah.
that's gone by.
In more than one character class and more than one trait tree per character class, I intentionally skip some traits that I feel are either A, not necessary for the build
Right,
I'm going for, or it's just a useless skill, don't bother. Uh,
right,
that
right.
aggro debuff skill on a champion, for example, why bother?
And of course, we do want to pay attention to, like you said, the tiers on the left-hand side. You want to
Yeah,
unlock.
yeah. Well,
But
you'll unlock
so
those as you spend points.
as you
Those
spend points,
unlock at like
right?
5, 10, 15, 20,
Right.
25, or 35, or whatever the tiers.
Anyway, I know that wasn't exactly a question,
I wasn't sure how to put it into a question, but I wanted to share that for any of the newer
Well,
players that are out there that may
if you don't
have
know how to phrase it as a question, then you're not going to do well in Jeopardy.
Oh,
You
are we?
could say, can
Oh,
we
we
get
should
a
do
little
that for the
bit?
200th show. We should have Lotro Jeopardy. That'd be awesome.
Or we could just not do that. You could have said, like, can we get a little bit more information on da 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 da.
All right. Well, I didn't act. That was kind of rhetorical that I said that. I didn't really expect anybody to like give me the solution. But okay.
Very
All
well.
right then.
This week's question IT support is brought to you by.
See?
We
And the
even
dog
get
was
comments
upset
from the
too.
dogs.
I know.
Let's
He's
let's
yelling
head
at
into
me.
our weekend Lotro. And Anding, what have you been up to?
Yes, well, Pineleaf, I worked on episode 3 of Middle Earth Lore, and a rough draft is done.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, super exciting, and
Yay.
sent it on to QA, so looking forward to feedback from them. Already gotten a little bit of it, and it seems like people are really enjoying it. So hopefully we are still on track to releasing the third episode of Middle Earth Lore on April 4th.
The Blue Mountains.
The Blue Mountains. So,
We should cheer them up if they're so blue.
Aww.
I think we should use
Aww.
more colors.
The Rainbow Mountains. That's a different game.
Rainbow-
Make it...
It's a
The
different game.
mountains of many colors.
this week I also streamed Bingo Boffin leveling and gained 3 levels. So that was super awesome. Took advantage of the 25% XP boost, and then also added in a 1 hour 100% XP boost increase. And so those two things together really get you levels really quickly. So enjoyed going through all of that. And also, I actually really enjoyed this week's Bingo Boffin quest. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but it was a lot of fun and definitely worth the previous couple weeks. So, Maven, what have you been up to?
Well, let me tell you what I've been up to. First of all, I topped out the levels on both of my imbued weapons thanks to the Minas Tirith endgame instances. Huzzah, huzzah. So they're all ready to go for the next update when we, whenever we level up to whatever next the level cap moves to. I left lots of messes around Osgiliath, both dead bodies and traps, as myself and another yellow hunter dominated Osgiliath. Yellow line rules. Yeah. And then this is really sad. So I have my captain Tyrondil. He's not a vain guy. He's not a conceited guy. But he's a widow's son, and he really believes that he needs to protect the women folk. He got his ego shredded in Mirkwood by a little red-haired minstrel girl. You know, every time he would go, "I will protect you," and he would run to the mob, she would yell, and the mob would be dead before he got even halfway to the mob. It was really poor guy. Poor guy. But anyway,
You just
so
have to get used to that with minstrels. They're OP.
I know. You know, he's just it's tough. He's learning. He's
Yeah.
learning. You know, he's learning that women actually can, stand on their own 2 feet and whatever, ring their own bell or whatever the song went. So Carve,
Mm-hmm.
what'd you do?
Well, this week I discovered my new favorite way to deed is to watch a show serially on whichever streaming channel I'm doing and eating at the same time. That way I'm not monotonously bored while I'm killing mobs over and over and over and over and over and over again. I finished the Lone Lands that way on my free-to-play account. Just watching TV and killing mobs. It was great. I was kind of in a mood. It was a long day, so I just chilled and killed stuff for like 2 hours.
The one thing you can't do on that is watch Mission Impossible on Netflix while doing that, because Mission Impossible requires like video focus.
Well, I mean, it
And
depends on what show you're watching. Like,
It
if you're
does.
watching something where you're more interested in listening to the plot and occasionally looking over, I was on a minstrel, so I was running around just yelling
You mean
at
Mission
mobs.
Impossible reruns? Because the TV show is not
yeah,
that
on
difficult.
Netflix, like really,
Yeah.
it has the whole
Or the
season on there,
movies.
or the whole series.
Yeah, I mean, I was just basically on my minstrel. Everything was like 15, 20 levels beneath me, and I was nearly one-shotting everything, so I was just running around blowing stuff up and watching Arrow, because, I've been binging Arrow lately.
Arrow's good.
But I also played tourist in Bree. We met the mayor, went shopping at Lalia's, signed up for a Barrow Downs archaeological excursion. It was just a lot of fun with the beard kissers running around Bree. We just had a great time. Discovered that there's an entire like upstairs to the mayor's office where there's a unit of guards that hang out there. Little thing we discovered in the Bree vamp that was cool. Uh, this morning had a 4 hour I know pay free to play Agmar stream.
Oh,
The
I'm back.
guests took
Yay!
advantage of Terry's being back. Yay! We don't take advantage of Terry, but I did take advantage of Terry's presence in the stream this morning because in Agmar, when you're on the western side of Agmar, there are no like eastern side of Agmar. There's a lot of group quests. So Terry and Aurora Ember, who some of y'all might see from some of the streams, came on and helped me not die, because I tried to pull 3 of those trolls from Malenhead and got wrecked horribly bad. So I had a couple people come in, and it was cool. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. The Beard Kissers are now officially named Beard Kissers in game because we got to the notary in the mailer's office. So now we are legit notarized and sealed as the Beard Kissers in game. That was cool. That was
That's
the deal.
awesome.
And that was kind of the high points. But I gotta admit, I'm so tired of Angmar's music. That like creepy wind noise they've got in there, where it's like,
and the that whispery woman's kind of
Yeah.
It's okay,
I just
dude.
imagine like the Witch King trying to like make all these noises throughout and just like blowing
He's
it
got, like,
across the
hidden
wind.
speakers. He's playing.
he's got a
psych-
keyboard. No, he's got a keyboard.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
programmed the noises.
He has a
into each
soundboard.
key. Yeah, soundboard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what all the was going on in Agmar, but I'm definitely looking forward to hitting 50, or at least alternating between that guy and my other character. So we'll see. Terry Adwin, now that you're back and you have been congratulated for being taken advantage of, what what's your week like?
Well, what an opening. Thanks.
Uh,
My challenge mini leveled up 10 levels this week. She was level 72 when I got home Monday. And I had the kind of day Monday where I really just wanted to yell at things until they died. So I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to work on my mini. And so yeah, she's now level 82. She's in Rohan. She finally got her war steed. She's been way over leveled because I wanted to do all of the Great River, so I did all of the Great River except for like maybe 2 quests that were left in the very last bit, because I said I've got to get out of here. And then I did most of the quests in the East Wall, and she's working her way slowly through Rohan. So she finally got a war steed at level 81. You can get your war steed at like level 71 if you really want to push it. She got her war steed at level 81 because didn't push it at all. And so I'm relearning mounted combat all over again at way over leveled. And her first time out on war steed, I went and got that stupid salamander warband by myself, and I went and got one of the other ones by myself, and felt very accomplished.
Yeah, by yourself.
And successfully led the Academy field trips through Hothvalandale, which is one of the Illuminous instances. That was a
We
lot
did
of fun.
wipe once. We did wipe one, but
We had
But, you know.
we had a couple of wipes, but it's still successful because we did actually
Yeah.
finish it.
it was. That's right.
It's so funny on Academy nights because that Terry Adwin is from Rohan, and that on last night in particular there were 3 Bjornings, and then Euphorbia is a Hobbit Guardian, and Heliantha is a Hobbit Hunter. So it was Goldilocks and the 3
Yeah.
bears with a couple of Hobbit extras.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I mean, it was melee dense, so I'm trying to throw traps.
Yeah.
I just threw traps into the fray. I mean, it's like I
actually
couldn't
a
see
lot of
where the
fun.
mobs were.
It's
I'm
a
just
lot of
throwing.
fun
I was
doing
like,
champ
somebody's
things
gonna fall
with
into this
everybody
trap.
else's melee except for like one person, because I don't
I was the only ranged
I
person,
didn't do a
wasn't
whole
I?
lot of running around at that point because some of the a couple of the bears would start running toward the mobs, and I'm like, just let them come to us. I don't want to work that hard. So that was really fun. And then today,
I think we all got knocked off the bridge, didn't we? At some point, I think every one
I
of
think
us went
everybody
through
did,
that.
yeah. Which I call foul on because I was in between those pillars and I got knocked around a pillar.
That's like
which
They they
which
they,
totally
they
did not
apparently
seem
put
legit.
some English into their
Yeah.
into their
they put a
hits.
spin on you.
Yeah.
And then
That's
today,
nice.
I mentioned Miller's Lore earlier. Today, I dusted off my Hobbit Guardian Fauredoc, who I made for Miller's Lore, and Trish dusted off her Hobbit Mini Fauregrin, who she made for Miller's Lore, and we ran them around to get their initial LIs and open up Moria.
Now we need to actually give you their full official names. Okay, it was Foriadoc Whiskey Dough and Forgrin Putback. Think about it. Took, Putback, Brandywine, Whiskey Dough, crickets. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
That's really funny.
So Pine Leaf, how was your week?
All right, well, we'll begin with on the regular skirmish night I have. We were running in a grade this time. We did T3 Assault and Ring Raid's Lair, and while we were running that, we ran into that very dreaded combination of lieutenants, double double priests of vengeance.
Oh.
At the same time, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when I say double, I mean yes. So you got two of
Oh,
these
that
at the same.
sucks.
Yeah, so that was a real fun one on trying to get through there because if it's a big crowd plus a priest of vengeance, a warden will just laugh, just do AoEs and the bleeds done by the warden more than compensate for the reflect. But two priests of vengeance, each of them with the reflect on them, yeah, not getting through there with no other mobs with it because Assault and Ringwraith's Lair, if you recall how that operates. So that one was a real thrill, and it took us a long time in order to be able to get those two down because we had to click at them little by little as whenever during those rare moments when the blades were not up. And then I attempted this morning. I attempted a solo run of the raid version of Breaching the Necromancer's Gate. I just wanted to see how far could I get.
Well, I can't
Wow.
imagine what that would be for.
So how
I
far
just
did
give
you
you
get?
Clearly,
there's
it's
attempted.
for his overpowered Beorning guide. Clearly.
How far did you
Well, yeah.
how far in did you get, Pine?
But this is all right. I managed to get through all the way through the first three wards,
Wow.
and things started falling apart during the fourth ward because during the fourth ward, I ran to a place where I had this Pale Trapper, Chaos Fiend, and all these Warg Riders.
Mm.
And if it weren't for the Warg Riders, I think things would be fun because the Warg Rider, I was concentrating on the Pale Trapper, and the Warg Riders will stun me every 3 seconds.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So therefore, after getting back from the start of the skirmish, I then decided, all right, new strategy. I just went after the Warg Riders first and managed to not pull the Chaos Fiend on the second time round. Knocked out all the Warg Riders, took care of the Pale Trapper, and that was fine. But then during the counterattack, all right, double counterattack, so I knew to pull everybody away so that I didn't actually no, that was the third one where I had to worry about the double counterattack. But when I got the counterattack to the fourth ward, and that came in, that had a venomous blood arrow, and the raid version of the venomous blood arrow, when you're running it solo, is brutal because they spam those stupid arrows they do, and you really can't. I don't know if there's any character capable of consistently interrupting them so that they could interrupt every single one of those arrows. So eventually, you are just going to be flooded with these debuffs from them. I think a Bjorning might be able to use cleanse in order to survive that thing, but I can't think of any other class that can get through that. So that was my eventual downfall in that one. So it sounds like then that you can get through it if you don't run into certain lieutenants. And the only one I know of that's on that certain list is the Venomous Blood Arrow. There might be one or two others. I don't know if I could survive a raid version of a Courage Breaker, for example. And a Leadfoot Brute you have to be very careful with, so that because if you get trapped,
Mhm.
because if you're a melee fighter, for example, don't have any good ranged attacks, then yeah, the Leadfoot Brute is just going to smash you to pieces.
Mhm.
So therefore, if you don't get one of those lieutenants, I think it's possible to actually get all the way through it, but it's not easy and it takes so long that, unless you're doing it for curiosity, why bother? Certainly wouldn't want to do it as a matter of course. And
Bragging rights.
Remember, he
and
was doing that on tier 3 raid. Crazy, Piney.
I was not doing that at tier 3.
The tier 3 was what they did as
Yeah,
a
I
The
know.
tier
solo.
3 was with the full raid.
I'm just kidding, but I was
But
wondering.
still, solo run of the raid version.
Yeah,
Holy
because
moly.
I had reported a couple of times where we've done it in a small fellowship, and it's when you run into things like that where that small fellowship makes a slight difference because now I got a healer back up and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I also ran 3 different versions of this week's Bingo Boffin's Quest because it has some slight differences based on your circumstances, I guess is the best way to put it, so I won't
Do you actually
give
have
it.
3 characters that are doing the quest?
Yes, because I have a right, because I have a minstrel that's doing it as a matter of course. I have the hunter that is doing it for my video series, and I have my Bjorning that's doing it with my live stream since I'm doing the streams with Andang.
Yep, I
Of
knew all of
course.
that, and Piney's a very crazy person, is what we learned from this.
Right.
Yes. What? Yes. I'd
Yes.
say
And
so.
so therefore I had to do something with my hunter to make sure I set it up so I could get one of the variations. I'll call that the Lily Kate variation because if you saw Lily Kate's one, or actually my video, you would have seen what I meant by a variation and compare it to Andang's version, where there's a difference in there.
I
Who has
really
time to
liked
watch all these videos? That's what I want to know.
I really liked that there were differences this week, though. It was nice
Yeah.
to. It added a lot of personality to the Bingo Boffin quest and
Right.
personability.
So now let's head into news beyond the LOTRO and Middle Earth Video Headlights, the Silmarillion trailer. How do you have a
Highlights.
I'm totally stuck. I'm frozen in the video headlights. I
I am
can't look
too.
away. Like a deer in the
I don't think
headlights.
Pineleaf realized he said headlights.
I
but-
know he didn't, but it's still fun. I totally want to watch this trailer. I'm gonna stop everything and watch the trailer.
It.
For the Silmarillion, which yeah.
Thank you, Carve. This, this week's video highlights. If we can actually get through this. Was the Silmarillion trailer, in case you totally forgot after the whole headlight debacle that just happened. Um, I think that the Silmarillion might actually be possible after watching this trailer. Certainly not in one movie, but I think it might be possible.
I thought
Um,
Corey Olsen's was a big, long,
It is.
It
It
is.
is.
That being said, though, I love their ideas that they come up with on that show, but I still think that it would be very hard to do, mostly just because how long it would take to do it properly,
As we're demonstrating.
as
on
they
the-
are demonstrating very well.
I mean, we just finished season 1 and the elves haven't even woken up yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the story about the elves, so that's pretty crazy. Um, but this trailer is awesome, and I pointed out in the write-up for it that regardless of if, someday they actually do make the Silmarillion films, regardless of if the films themselves are actually good, I'm looking forward to it because I know the trailers will be awesome. And and I really want to see more Silmarillion trailers like this because this was just so awesome, and I've watched it multiple times, just throughout, like even way back early in Lotro Video Highlights. I've been watching this like every couple months or so, and it's awesome. It is so awesome. One of my favorite Tolkien-related trailers.
I'm wondering if anyone ever gets the rights, if any part of the Silmarillion other than the story of Beren and Luthien would actually be done.
I think that if they were going to do it, they should start with Beren and Luthien and then worry about the rest of it.
I was listening to Bragg's podcast today and he called it Baron and Lutheran.
Right. And with that, we will head into Ren, the Girl with the Mark, episode 2. Oh, yeah. I have not gotten around to see that yet. Ooh, good grief.
So, speaking of awesome, this is awesome. Uh, there's some major action and major story development that happens in this episode. I'm not going to spoil any of it. If you have not yet watched the first episode, watch that and then watch this episode. It'll only take about 20 minutes to watch both, and it is well worth it. This episode was really, really good, and I'm excited for next week. It's going to be awesome as well, I think. So,
So
really
you heard
liking
it
Ren.
here
I
first,
cannot believe
folks.
it had only been 10 minutes.
I know. It's amazing how much they get done in just 10 minutes. And it all makes sense. It doesn't feel rushed. It's just, it works really, really well.
So
Very
now that you
well.
understand ending episodes, watching episode 1 first, and then watching episode 2. Very
Right.
important. Thank you,
That's
Ending.
my expert watching guide for the first two episodes
He
of
highly
Ren.
recommends.
Now, that might
1,
change
then
next week
2.
when the third one is added. Keep that in mind. But
Yes.
right now, currently, I'm recommending watch episode 1 and then episode 2.
Yes.
Very well. Now, since we were so hasty this week, I think it is time for us to have a discussion about Ents.
Do we have enough time for that?
I don't know.
Hey,
I
let
don't
it
know,
sink in,
Carve, if
you
we have
know.
enough time for the.
Well,
Let's
we will
not
have to
be
find out.
hasty.
We will, of course, as usual, discuss our topic from the point of view of the pros and cons of the books, the films, and the games. So let us begin with the books. Anyone have any things that they really love about how they are portrayed in the books?
I
Well,
really.
for me, the books are like the baseline for me. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well, that's true with many of the things related to Tolkien.
Well, I know, but what I mean is that, and even in the books, it's kind of hard to portray. But I mean, I think of all of the three, the books actually portray that the slowness and the lengthiness of the Ents. You
Well,
know,
it's easier to portray slowness in a book considering that it is
indeedy,
a relatively slow medium.
and you can describe it
Yeah.
rather than show it. You know, you can't really show it. If you
Oh,
showed it,
it'll
it
be
would
a
be a
pretty bad movie.
really long movie with really bad reviews.
Well, they could. I mean, before we get into other stuff later on, there are ways you could probably do it. But one of the things I really appreciate about the Ents in the books is how they are portrayed as both ancient and tree-like, and the idea of them being older than the forest themselves really takes that whole race to a new level. Like when he's talking about the depths of Treebeard's eye and just the detail of the ancient memory of it. And then when he's describing how Treebeard's walking, it's almost as if there's a tree that's being forced to walk so it doesn't have a completely agile way of moving, but the walking almost sounds like it's a tree swaying in the wind kind of a thing. And that, I think, is really neat.
One thing I like from the books is, and I don't remember when this is mentioned, but the whole concept of having the history of just this general ginormous forest that covered a large part of Middle Earth. And talking about how in the old forest there's these like stories of trees that used to move and things like that. And I really enjoy that there's kind of that foreshadowing, or at least that mythical culture, that then hobbits can go and see this thing that they've very rarely heard reference to. It's just kind of cool.
I agree with Lily Kate that I think they convey more majesty in the books, and maybe that's
Yeah.
what I'm driving at. Than was in there. And I think the order of my preference is books, game, and movies by a long way away.
I was gonna
Very
say
laggy third.
because I don't actually really have
Oh, sorry.
much because I haven't contributed much. So I was gonna say what Lily Kate said, but yeah, I agree with Lily Kate that they definitely convey a better sense of majesty and treeness and the awesomeness that should be like the tree folk.
Yeah.
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 It's sort of hard
think-
to get across in any other medium too.
Well, I think to pick up from what Carv said, I think there is a way you could do it on film. I don't think it was done very well in the movies.
We'll get to
We'll
that
get to
later.
that.
Well, you get it. But
Oh,
first,
okay.
now, concerning on my little pro side concerning the Ents on it is, if I recall correctly, the conversation between Pippin, Merry, and Treebeard, I believe, is the first example of alliterative verse in the Lord of the Rings.
Of course you would know that, Pineleaf.
Of course, Pineleaf knows that.
I
Unless,
I
Nathan,
have
do you know of a bit
I
other
got nothing to
example?
say about that.
I'm pretty sure Pineleaf is the expert on that,
I
whether
was
he
gonna
The,
realizes
say
the
it or
expert
not.
on that would be
Nothing
Corey
Pineleaf.
Olson.
Yeah, that's true. Corey would know. Yeah. But I would
You're a
say
close
next
second, though,
you're the
Pineleaf.
close second. Yeah, you're paying attention to that stuff. That's actually good because we see that before we get to Rohan, right?
Right, because all the other examples I can think of course, associated with Rohirrim. And I believe I had asked the question when I was taking the course concerning where he thought did the Rohirrim pick up alliterative verse from Treebeard, or did Treebeard pick up alliterative verse from Rohan? I will presume it would have to be the former, because it's hard to believe that this old list would be in a style that has to be relatively recent, because the Rohirrim have only been there for a few centuries.
Right. That's
But all
interesting.
right,
I'll have to go look. I'm making a note of that. I'll go check it out.
okay. Let's go into cons then. Anyone have anything that they feel irks them about Ents in the book?
I don't
Oh,
like that
bitches.
Pineleaf knew that thing about the alliterative verse. No, I'm just kidding.
You've got to remember, as I've been studying alliterative verse.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing, Pineleaf. I can't believe that you knew that. That really is awesome.
You know, originally
Sure.
Ents were villains when Tolkien first wrote them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, his writing
Okay.
evolution was really amazing. But I actually think he did. I can't think of anything that is a con for me in the book about them. I mean, I just think he did really a good job of, portraying them and getting us to get them. Anyway, and they're his creations, so that's the way it should be, right? Hello? Am I still on?
Yes,
Oh.
correct. Yes.
It went really quiet there for a second. I actually sort of wish we could have spent more time with the Ents. I don't think they really get enough time, but that's usually my big complaint when it comes to the books.
Yeah.
He sort of rushes us through what shouldn't feel quite as rushed.
Especially
Well,
concerning
I-
anything with their Ents, yeah.
Yeah, I think what I like most about the books and Ents and any other, quote unquote subrace, that they play a role, but when you remember that the Lord of the Rings is written from the Hobbit's perspective, that's all the Hobbits get. So you don't understand the full story of what they could be involved in. You just get enough of the Ents to go, okay, these are the Ents. I got it. That's good. But you really kind of want more, but you just don't get it.
Or maybe it was also like co-authored by Treebeard, but because it takes him so long to say anything, he, just only said a very little amount.
Well, I think Treebeard might have taken offense to, papers being made from his friends.
If it's made out of wood, I don't think he took offense from anywhere.
Good grief. Let's head to the films.
That's a good idea, Pineleaf.
Anyone have anything wonderful to say about the Ents as they are portrayed in the films?
I love the graphics that they use to describe to put the Ents as a picture form. I'm not so keen on the characters they gave the Ents in terms of their dialogue and their personalities, but the way they look in the movies is awesome.
I have one.
The flooding of Isengard is actually
I was gonna
amazing.
say,
And you go ahead and take it, Terry.
bit where the Ents take on Isengard and that whole sequence is fantastic. It's definitely the best thing about the Ents in the movies.
But as for the cons, as being hinted at just before, is that the Ents have to be
It's
tricked
pretty much
into.
the only good. Yeah, the flooding of Isengard is pretty much the only good Ent thing in the movies.
Right, because they have to be tricked into actually doing what they agreed to do in what they do on their own initiative in the books.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit too much of that, I think, in the movies, and not just with the Ents, but many other places where people who do the right things in the books have to be tricked into doing the right thing in the movies.
Well, there's too much of that interpretation of something that was written with the 1940s and 50s morality mindset into our shall we say imperfect hero culture that we have these days.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a major part of it. Let's talk about the go downhill comment. Because there's actually a lot there. Basically, Treebeard says something like, "I like going south because it feels like going downhill," or something ridiculous like that, which is incredibly dumb to begin with. But when you go in and dissect it, it gets even dumber. Because Treebeard is this ancient creature, and apparently does not realize how directions work, except for like downhill is a thing that's related to going south, apparently. Which is also completely. It's just like I'm.
Well,
Ugh.
consider this, Ed. Consider this. Treebeard is ancient. But as his lifespan has continued on, his borders of existence have shrunk down to the point where the Greenwood the Great that he used to know is just this snippet of what is now known as Fangorn, which essentially is on the side of a mountain. And when you look at the gradients of the terrain where Treebeard lives, it may very well be that there is a hill that runs literally north to south, and going south is downhill. And if he's been that way for thousands of years, maybe that's all he remembers. Because he doesn't remember 5,000 years ago, oh, wait, there was actually a woods that went east and it was also going downhill.
Yes, but he says that it feels like going downhill, which means he doesn't actually know if he's
yeah,
going downhill.
he's using it as a metaphor rather than literally.
He doesn't even know if it's actually downhill or not, I would like to point out.
Yeah.
Well, if my mental Tolkien map in my head is correct, I think it
Your mental
literally
map is
downhill.
correct, but the comment does not make sense in
Hey, I'm
relation
trying
to
to
the
seek
map
the
even.
benefit of the doubt here, okay?
It's, in my opinion, the worst line from the Peter Jackson films, or at least from the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson films, or at least very high up there. It's just, I can't. It's horrible.
Very well. Then let's head to the games. And what are the pros of the Ents in the game?
You get to smash stuff.
You get to
Smash
beat
them.
It's session play. Woohoo!
You get to do an Ent session play,
And
and it's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That works. It's fun. It's like, yeah.
I think visually, I think they're portrayed really well in the game.
I like
Yes.
how they didn't just go straight to the movie style. They did their own
Yeah.
style event, and
Yeah.
I really thought that was
Right.
nice.
So I can imagine though what Endane's con would be. Home, home, home.
Yes, and thank you kindly for letting me not have to do that with my own voice. Thank you, because it'd just leave a horrible taste in my mouth if I did. Yeah, the Ents, at times they're decent. At other times it's very hard to listen to because they didn't get the voice quite right, I think. And it becomes more annoying than it is Ent sounding. Um, I think that in general, though, LOTRO did a good job with the Ents, better than with the movies, for example. Another big con, though, is that you don't get to play as Ents very long. It's just this very short type thing. That being said,
I'm okay with that because it's a session play, and I don't really want those to be really long.
I agree. I feel like they could have done another session play that would have been interesting, like actually showing the releasing of the river type of a thing. I know that would take a ton of budget probably to do, but it would have been cool to see.
They did do some clever stuff with the ants. I especially enjoyed the time lapse photography where the ant moot
Yeah.
was going in real time for the ants, but the hobbits were like little scurrying ants everywhere. That
Yeah.
was really neat.
Yeah, that was really cool. I forgot
Clever.
about that.
Actually, my favorite Ent thing is in the Brownlands in the Great River. There's that little Ent side quest that talks about the Ent wives,
Oh, I
which
haven't done that
is
one
really,
yet.
really cool.
I want to do that one. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that one is good.
I just did it this week because I was doing all the Great River.
There you go.
So what about the fun little deed in the old forest?
Yeah, that
Oh
one
yeah,
is
there's that one too.
not a nice ant. I'm sorry, but it's just don't like that
No,
ant.
he's talking about the deed where
The
you find the
flowers.
Oh,
I
the flower
like it.
deed.
That one. That
That
one's
one is
nice.
nice. It
That
takes
one's
a
a
long
nice
time.
nod. If you're going to be in the old forest questing anyway, you might as well hunt out the flowers because
That
it's
is
got
true.
a nice backstory and it tells you about a little snippet of kind of, interest about the ant wives and their backstory. And if you happen to be questing with your dwarven wife on a honeymoon and you find a flower, you can pick it or at least show her and say, "See, this is a beautiful flower." It gives some of your beauty to this, and you can like schmooze and stuff. But yeah, anyway, no, I'll stop talking.
Barnabas says they need to make an Entmoot session play. It would last for hours. Actually, days it would last probably.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the money they paid voice actors to do that would be so worth it.
Ouch.
We currently have 26 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest host here at LOTRO Players News. And how far are we from the next goal?
Well, right before we get to that, Pine Leaf, I do want to point out another thing Barnabas said. He said, you thought Sarah was bad. Listening to the Ents doing their long talk would be way worse than slow walking Sarah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That would be horrible.
It would be like a combination of that horrible like monologue that Frodo takes you when you're wandering around Rivendell, but like slower with Sarah's walking, and then
Right.
a lot of dialogue is like slash follow snap.
And just to really stick it to players, they'd make it part of the epic story to where you have to sit through it. And
On every character.
And
On
you'd
every
be able to
character.
get out of the session play. You wouldn't be able to get out of it. So then you'd leave the game and you'd come back and you'd still be in the Entmoot. And it's like, oh my gosh.
you have to be away for a month's in-game time, and they just talk
Right.
like through the whole.
Right. But
Ah.
Turbine would say, hey, we want it to be realistic. It's like, okay.
Oh man.
Yes. Thank you guys at Turbine for not actually doing that to us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yes, Pineleaf, we are on Patreon, and we have 26 supporters, which is awesome. Big thanks to all of them. And currently, we are $25 away from the $100 Steam card giveaway for XP Quest, and so that would be awesome to do.
And we still have the giveaway going on, don't we? When
The
does that
giveaway
end?
actually just closed right before the show.
Okay.
And I sent an email to the winner, and you can check the comments section of the giveaway as well. Pro tip, do Control F and search for Andang, and then you can just find my reply to the winner instead of scrolling through trying to find it. Because that's how I find out who was the winner as well after the fact when I forget and have to go back and look back. So, pro tip there. So yeah, it did recently close, but the good news is that on my Patreon, also a 1-year VIP code giveaway happened, and so sometime over this next week there should be an article on LOTRO players that will link to my video, where you can enter to win another VIP code if you don't end up winning, and if the winner doesn't respond after 1 week, it will go on to a new winner for this one as well. So it's not quite closed yet if the winner does not respond. So there you go.
For feedback, we did not have any iTunes reviews this week, but we did receive 2 emails. And the first of these is from Trotter and Maven, could you please read this?
I would be happy to. I would be happy to please read this, except that I moved my cursor way down. Okay, here we go. Trotter writes, "Why in Eastern Gondor do beasts not drop the hides they are named after? Just killed an Anorian buck, and it dropped a Yorlingus hide. Why not an Anorian hide? This is hugely frustrating as a tier 10 tailor, and if you have Anorian hides and don't need them, it may be a good time to auction haul them for gold, as they are much harder to get than any other tier 10 crafting items. But any ideas on how to farm them, Trotter?" I haven't really had a problem, actually.
You just need to kill
Um,
lots of things.
yeah, I mean, actually, let's see. I'm trying to think what did I do, because I've got Glorda's all topped up on Nori, and she's a tailor, and I went right outside, like right outside Minas Tirith, on the Pelennor, like between the Ramas and actually beyond the North Ramas too, over by Talith, Anor, or whatever it is. The wargs around there pretty much were consistently dropping Anorian hides, so that's how I did it. Um, I don't know if there's any other good spot. Does anybody know of any other good spot to get, pretty consistent Anorian hides?
Barnabas says do the work pens instance at level 100.
Ah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, I think some of those scaling ones that do drop stuff, if you do them at 100, I would think you'd get the
Yeah,
right hides. But I
that's
don't
true.
know.
Work pens would be a
Like
great
I've
idea.
I've done Iobar's Peak to get hides before, and it drops what hides depending on the level you're running it.
Right.
So it would make sense that it would drop.
That would probably be true with skirmishes too. I mean, with the
The
skirmishes, like
skirmishes don't
where you have
drop
the
hides.
wargs. Oh, they don't drop hides. Oh, that's right.
In
Dang
those
it. So it'd be
skirmishes, you
the
have to do the
instances.
scalable instances. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
scalable
saying that
instances.
the first part of work pens is pretty OP for high drops.
Oh, that's good.
Then let's
That's good.
head into Ben's email. And Terry, could you please read that?
Sure. Ben writes, "Greetings and well met, my fellow Lotroians. I am here today seeking knowledge from the masses of Lotro players like yourselves and those you reach out to every week. I am going to leave out the class I was playing, for I am embarrassed enough and don't want to be judged further. I am more of a solo player than a group player overall. So if I survive a fight, I figure I must be doing something right? When out
Hmm.
adventuring, there are times that I can hold my own fighting against 3 or more mobs at or slightly above my level. This is what happened that brings me here to my favorite Lotra podcast seeking help. I was out questing and deeding, trying to pick up a few extra TP points, which we all know one can always use, when I was asked to join a pug. Before accepting, I explained I was new to this class and wasn't sure how I would do in a group. I was still accepted, and off we went to the instance. Once there, we held our own at first, but then we wiped. I have died before, and I will die again many times, and I accept and expect this, but these guys flipped out and tossed me from the group saying learn my class. After going through mixed emotions of being pissed off and embarrassed, I wanted to do just that and learn a bit more about my class, so off to the forums I went looking for redemption. Of course, all I could find was guides for level 100. No help there, so many abilities that I don't even have yet, or I would find a guide that was so outdated. If I am doing abilities wrong at levels 20 to 40 and not knowing they are wrong, it's going to be even worse at higher levels. Is there help out there anywhere for newer class players like me? Thanks for letting me vent a little and for any help you and your listeners can provide. Ben F. Arkenstone.
I know at 20 to 40, if I were facing 3 mobs at a time, I'd probably get squished.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, there are
Not all of
classes
us
that
are
you
you,
can
Pine Leaf.
totally own 3 or 4 mobs at a time, no problem. But I mean, it sounds to me that first of all, Ben, I'm sorry you ended up with a bunch of less than nice people in your
Well,
pod.
that's
That
what really
sucks.
bugs me.
It
I mean,
happens to me all the time, and I hate it. Well, I try not to get into those groups, but when it happens, it happens. You're like, oh, fine. If you want to be a jerk, be a jerk. But it's no instance on me. Now, I've had that happen before where between level 20 and 30, you just don't have the skills to be very effective at your class. Or your class is one of those classes where, like, if you're the supposed healer and you're doing your best, but at 20 to 40, healing on any class is tricksy because you don't have the big uber mega skills that you can do later on. So it's just tough. Like, I'm specifically thinking of a blue minstrel or like a yellow Beorning because you can do a lot of stuff soloing on those classes, but when you're in a group, there's a whole different dynamic, and so you do have to play it differently. And if you don't practice a group a lot, then you don't. But if people aren't willing to give you a shot, then I'm sorry, they're missing out on a potential new game friend.
and I,
Oh,
And I
I
want to
have.
say, Ben, that I think this is one of the advantages of a good kin. If you're
Yeah.
not already in a kinship,
Oh,
I
since
think,
yeah.
being in a kinship is because people are very helpful. I mean, I have found people to be very helpful, and trust me, I mean, I would be on out of my butt if Carve behaved the way those guys behaved back when I was
Right.
back when I was
Now,
learning.
yeah. One possibility is if you are available on early Friday evenings, is that on Arkenstone there is a kin called the Academy. And yes, the Academy, as you can tell from the name, is is there in order to help people learn things like this. And so playing in a group in perhaps in a kin, in that kin may be able to help you if you're available at the time of our usual field trip, since it is hit and miss and finding people online after other than that.
Oh
And
yeah,
if
you're
you
welcome to come to the field trip.
right
That is a great place.
and
And Kim
Terry,
brings up a
Maven,
good
and I.
point. That it sounds like you're not super social, but it's worth mentioning. You can be in a kinship and not have to socialize with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
you can
absolutely.
pop in and say, "Hi, busy doing whatever," and like you don't have to respond to everybody's hi in chat because that's sort of me when I log on Gladden because I'm in a great kin on Gladden, but I'm not always there to. Usually, when I'm on Gladden, I'm there for a reason, and it's not necessarily to hang out with folks in chat, and they get that, which is great. So like when I log on, everybody will be like, "Hi, hi," and I'll say hi back, and I only really have to say it once, and then I can go do my thing. I don't have to greet every other person that comes in. Um, so yeah, that's awesome. Pineleaf brings up a good point. Academy is awesome.
Especially
Um,
since you're on Arkenstone, you should definitely take
especially yeah,
advantage of it.
especially on Arkenstone. Even if you have your own kin, and want to hang out, you
Yeah.
can send a tell to Brannick. Brannick is always on Brannick between 6 and 6:30 p.m. server time.
Branick, is that right? Brannick?
Branick. You can always send him a tell, even if you don't want to be added to the kinship because you might have your own thing. You can feel free to join us on TeamSpeak. We can get you that information. You can pop in and chat, and we can give you advice based on your class. Because we've all been there. I've been in groups where they've told me to learn my class, and I've told them some things I'm not going to say on this show. Uh, I have actually never been the person who's telling somebody else to learn their class, because even having 2 champions maxed and a third on their way, well, 3 or 4 more on the way to being maxed, I'm still learning. I'm always learning new stuff. There's always something that I don't know. I don't expect to know everything. I don't expect everybody else to know everything. Um, and so what my takeaway for you should be for like this encounter is it's not you, it's them. Because if people are behaving like that, then really you don't need to pug with them anyway.
No, you don't want to pug with them
Yeah.
anyway. That's right. That's
One
right.
thing I would like to point out as kind of an encouragement is just that MMOs have huge learning curves.
Good,
Huge
yeah.
learning curves. And so it's completely normal to, not necessarily know what you're doing on a class.
Yeah.
And
Learning curve for this one is about 10 years, and the game's not that old yet.
It took me to get to level 100 before I figured out what the heck my stats did, okay?
Yeah.
honestly, I think until you play your second character, you don't really know what is going on. You might think you really know, but playing a different type of class gives you a new perspective on the game as well.
I'd say probably
And
fourth
so,
character.
and I'm not saying, that you need to create a new character to understand the game, but for me personally, I didn't feel like I really understood LOTRO until I created my second class and was starting to go through that. So MMOs have this huge learning curve, and it's completely normal to, feel like you're not doing well or something like that. But you'll get better and you'll start to pick up on certain things. Even if no one tells you anything ever, you'll just start to notice more things, and it will get better.
And I gotta say, I think in Lotro anyway, I don't have experience in other games, so I can't say. But in Lotro anyway, for every jerk like what you encountered in the Pug, there are at least 3 people who are happy to help and mentor and give advice and be
Yeah.
patient and all that stuff. So I just think you had an unfortunate experience. And as far as as far as where to learn, we talked about the Academy on Friday. The Academy is also a podcast, LOTRO Academy. You know, and you can kind of they cover lots of stuff, and they don't just talk about it at level 100. And you can even, you know, bounce around and pick and choose what topic, you know, you're wanting to learn the most. So they've got a really robust catalog of podcasts, and they're also still broadcasting. And you guys do live broadcasts too, like once a month, right? So
Yes.
that actually was what I used when I first started. I listened to the Academy podcasts. Um, so I was like a fangirl when I first met Pine Leaf, but you
See,
know,
yeah.
not
It,
anymore. No.
it, Although I do agree with Ben that there's very often a complete lack of information on, okay, so you're playing a new XYZ
Yeah.
class. What are the things you want to pay attention to for the first 40 levels? Because oftentimes, and I see this in every class forum, it always happens. Somebody will get on and say, I'm level 34, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this skill and that skill, and I'm trying to be more effective in my class. And then within like 4 posts, you've got somebody who considers themselves like the gift to that class, and they're talking about level 100 in-game rotations, and then like 4 people after they're like, "Do you remember the OP's post? The original poster was asking about level 34. You're talking about skills they won't get for
Yeah.
70 levels, you know, or whatever." So it always seems like there's a lack of, hey, while you're at this place in your development on your class, try to get into the habit of doing these base skills because they will help you later. And so it gets interesting that there are a couple, like, a handful of guides I can think of, like the Lore Master, for example. I remember reading a couple posts where they had just a real basic, try this out for the first 30 levels kind of thing, and it helped me. But I mean, aside from the Lore Master, I can't think of any other forum where I've done that. So if there is somebody who may be in an Academy podcast who might want to think about doing like a class specific, or if maybe
We've
there's some
we've
people who want
actually
to,
talked about that.
yeah, I mean, the idea of doing like, tonight we're going to talk about wardens, and we're going to talk about wardens in the different trait lines and what to do mid game, end game. And I mean, it'd be a lot of research because you'd have to have people who understand how to
Yeah,
play
and that's
any
why we haven't
class.
done it yet.
Yeah, yeah. You'd have to have
Yeah.
guests who like know that class, because I know that
Brilliant.
there are
Yeah.
like posts upon posts upon posts upon mathematical statistical debates about how to play a proper end game, what have you.
Oh, good
But
grief.
it's
Actually, the best way
ridiculous
to
the
do it is to
amount of
actually have a
data
panel of
analysis.
people,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
just have a
because
bunch of
everybody
people
plays
together. Yeah,
differently.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the way and the thing that always kills me about learn how to play your class is I'm playing my class one way, he's playing the
Right.
same class and the same trait line a little bit different, and then I go into another group and she's playing it a little different, and
Hmm.
everybody's got their own play style and they like using certain skills and having certain
Hmm.
effects and whatnot,
And
you know.
everybody's successful. I mean, they do it.
And
You know,
yeah, and
nobody's
so it's
like,
just like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the fastest ways to drive me completely up the wall is for somebody to tell me that um, to find an article posted somewhere that this class should be played this way and this is the only way to play it and you're doing it wrong if you're not playing it that way, because that's the first thing that sets my back up, because I used to read a lot of stuff on yellow line champions being better when red line hadn't quite been fixed yet, and everybody said that it sucked, and you should be in yellow line if you're a champion, and if you're a champion who's not in yellow line then you're playing it wrong and you're not doing as much DPS. And you know what, I was killing things just fine in red line even when it sucked, so bite me.
Yeah, that's the
And that's
and
pretty much the
what
reaction. But really, a good, your best friend is going to be your tooltips. Read your tooltips, because the tooltips are going to tell you what each skill does. And you may not remember the skill name, because half the time I don't remember my skill names. I know my champion skill is pretty good, um, like 3 of them. And but yeah, it'll tell you what each skill does. So if somebody's telling you that you want such and such skill, and you're like, I don't know what that skill is. What's it look like? Because sometimes you don't know. I don't know what my skills are called. I know the one looks like a blade, one looks like a circle spinning blade, and one looks like a guy holding a sword up in front of his face. One looks like this crosshatch thing. Um, yeah, nobody knows what those skills are called. It's on this button. This is what I push when I need it to do that.
I know what you mean, because there
And if
half the
people
skills
know
I
their
have, I don't
buttons,
even have a button to look at.
so yeah, there's my 50 cents for you.
Right.
And
That the fact that all these people who try to give you advice, but that if you ever ask a question, they seem to always be giving the advice for a yellow line champion when you're explicitly
Oh, that's
told them red.
right up the wall, right up the wall. I play a single target red line champion. I don't do all those fancy AoE skills. I mean, I have enough in yellow to get the Shing Shing, but the reason my Shing Shing is as effective as it is because I've got all the traits in red that give me all those nice crits, so I can die things.
And Brannick in the chat does point out that the CSTM roundtables were the original reason why they never covered the class specifics on Lotro Academy, and it's because CSTM had already covered them. And now obviously they're outdated, plus CSTM no longer has a website, so it's actually hard to find the actual podcast episodes themselves now, because you can't really direct someone to go to this particular spot and say that you can find it here because their site isn't around anymore. I think they still have their episodes on archive.org, but I'm not for certain. I haven't looked into it
Yeah.
recently.
But they are
Um,
probably obsolete.
and yeah, regardless, they are almost certainly obsolete because I don't think that they did them after the Helm's Deep revamp.
No, because I'm pretty sure that CSTM had already folded by that point.
I think Brannick was getting ready to, but they had decided they had found out that they wanted to go in a different direction and ended up shutting CSTM down. And so those are really outdated now because the entire revamp of the classes happened, and so most of the information there won't even matter because it's totally different now. So yeah, it would be really cool if we eventually get roundtables. We on Lotro Players, this very podcast, Lotro Players News, we were going to do it at one point, but then things fell through and people's schedules just didn't line up because it's very hard to line up players that really know what they're talking about. You first have to find them, and then you have to make sure that the schedules work with everything. And typically there's EU versus US times, and global, all people are all around the world, and it's just very hard to coordinate all that. And so hopefully Academy or we at some point can do that, but it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
If you would like to send us an email, you could send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com. You could also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVMP_Andang, Arathert @Arathert, Carvet @CarvetLP, Maven @TokenMaven, Pineleaf @PineleafNews, and Terry Adwin @TerryAdwin. The Players Alliance has 5 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. The last Friday of every month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Players News. And every other Saturday after Lotro Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. You can join us for our live shows at lotraplayers.com/live. And remember, everyone, that the United States is going through a time change this weekend. So therefore, be double cautious if you're outside the United States and are trying to coordinate the times to make sure that we're not out of sync, because usually we're out of sync for a few weeks with that of Europe before the two times become aligned
You'd
once again.
think with all the G4 summits they got going on, they could handle the time zone thing between the US.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This is Pineleaf News reminding you to skirmish responsibly.